matter where you go, you're always going to see smackheads. Rob off their own fucking nans.
The stigma runs right across society, even into the recovery community.
Another one there.
Oh, yeah.
So if I had carried on, I would have found hundreds.
I've got pretty much one of these in every room. People taking the law in their own hands.
It's just part of life.
Is it though?
For me, yeah.
It's Saturday night in Manchester, and I'm on my way to meet a group of men who say they've had enough of heroin users in their area, and they want to tell me exactly what they're doing about it.
Apparently their actions are so extreme that they're breaking the law, and they're very, very cautious not to have their faces shown. What's it like living around here?
A dive. It's full of smackheads and there's no jobs, there's nothing for people to do.
And do you think, from what you guys see, is heroin use in this area on the increase or decrease?
Increase, definitely. You can see them doing it in the streets when you're walking past. They come out and leave needles everywhere. Once they come up, they're out of it, they just fucking... and that's it, they're off. Then it becomes your responsibility to try and clean them up.
And did you ever report any of this to the council or the authorities to clear them up?
Yeah, but they don't do. All they tell you to do is put it in a container and take it to your local pharmacy where they can dispose of it. The council won't come out just to move one needle. They'd not come out if you found a bunch of needles here on the floor.
I don't want my kid growing up around that shit.
Councils state they will pick up any reported needles within the day, but these men say they've grown so sick of the ongoing situation, they've decided to sort it out themselves.
But you guys don't just clean up the needles, do you? You clean up the users too?
Yeah.
If we need to use violence, we'll use violence. Simple as that.
Kick the fuck out of them, learn them a lesson, and they more often than not won't come back.
But is that not an extremely violent way to go about it?
Doesn't matter, it's the only way you can get rid of them.
None of them will ever ring the police though. They're drug dealers, they take drugs.
They defend their violence by telling me it's all to protect their turf.
So, in some ways, do you guys just see yourselves as extreme neighbourhood watch?
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty much, yeah.
We live on the street, so we want it to be a nice place to live for our children.
And do you guys use drugs yourselves?
I smoke weed.
You smoke weed. What about you guys?
I take coke.
You take coke?
I do as well.
Do you see it as being a bit hypocritical?
No, not really. Because heroin and a cocaine are completely and utter different drugs. They will have to go and rob people and businesses to feed a habit. We can afford to pay to buy a little gram here and there at the weekend.
I'm introduced to other members of their group, and it becomes obvious that some of them aren't just using drugs recreationally. These two are quick to boast about their business dealing coke.
How much money do you reckon you can make a day?
Varies from £100 to £300 to anything, depends on the day. It's not addictive, it's just fucking...
It's the money that's addictive.
Yeah, it's the dog.
Do you want to get away from it?
Yeah, of course I do. I've got a family and that, but at the minute it's money and it's where I'm at, innit? I'm living the life that I'm living. But not forever, not forever.
They also share the same views on heroin users and reveal some shocking, violent behaviour against the addicts.
I've had run-ins where we've had needles found, so we've fucking been and seen them, given them a good hiding, stabbed them a few times with their own needles, the dirty little bastards.
Why did you stab them with their needles? What?
Because they're throwing it over people's back gardens that have got kids that play in the back gardens and things. And it's not acceptable, is it?
But yeah, you sell sniff.
Yeah, I know, but you don't get people throwing sniff over someone's back garden because they're not that stupid, it costs too much. And they'd rather sniff it themselves. You know what I mean? Start throwing sniff over someone's back garden, I'll shake their fucking hand.
But you haven't got a problem with sniff users?
No, have I fuck?
Have you ever seen any sniff users become crack users?
Yeah, once or twice.
And then what happens when they become crack users?
Crackheads, aren't they? Fuck it up.
In their world, there's a definite drug hierarchy that puts coke users at the top and heroin users right at the bottom. It also allows them to justify their illegal actions.
This morning I'm going to go and meet with one of the lads and take him up on his offer of looking at some of the problem areas where we might find some needles. I mean, generally, what's this land used for?
Now it's just wasteland until they develop it. A lot of people use it for walking the dogs and stuff. Or again, at night time you'll get the smackheads.
So what have you got there? Wow.
That's a new one, that's recent. Just bending that over so my dog doesn't, or any other dogs don't get stabbed by it.
Do kids play up here?
Yeah, quite a few kids play up here. They mainly play on the hill because we're trying to stop them coming around here.
He tells me that heroin users often camp out in this field, and when the group find them, they want them out immediately.
Come over to them and says, get off the field, you've got 10 minutes to go, or we're coming back. Come back 10 minutes later and they're still here, so we just battered them and sent them on the way.
Do you think it's necessary, that level of violence?
If you had kids, would you like them to see someone digging smack in front of them? This is a place to set on fire again, if you look here. There's hundreds of them around here. There's more here, look, needles out on show.
You burnt them out of here?
Yeah, got a load of flammable liquid and just set it all on fire. One of my friends filmed it.
Wow, so that is right here?
Yeah, and then the flamethrower there if it sets it on fire.
What do you say there?
Again, we said no more smackheads. I just moved a bit of that then and could have stabbed myself on that. Another one there.
Oh, yeah.
We've probably collected about 30 in the time. We've had a quick walk around the field. So if I had carried on searching through all that, I would have found hundreds. I don't want to be holding them, to be honest. What I'll do, I'll put them all in the shoe and put them in the fire later.
The quantity of needles do point to a vast number of addicts in the area, and I wonder if he has ever thought about or tried to understand the situation of the people who leave them behind.
Someone's suffering with an addiction. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel empathy for them? Do you feel sympathy?
I don't feel sorry for smackers. It's their own choice. It's their own choice in life. They chose to inject themselves with this.
But do you think perhaps life can bring it upon you? You lose opportunities. Anyone can become a heroin addict.
No matter how hard life gets, you never turn to this.
Do you know anyone who has become a heroin addict?
No. And if any of my mates got to, started on heroin and smacking up, then they'll just have the living shit kicked out of them. Because it's disgusting. I don't associate with smackheads and stuff like that.
Even if your own father became a heroin addict?
If my dad became a heroin addict, I would stab him. There's no two ways about that.
It's a zero-tolerance approach, one which he adopts at home as well. He seems to have reason to worry about violent break-ins, and he shows me an arsenal of weapons he keeps to defend himself.
I've got pretty much one of these in every room.
That's quite a collection.
Got some more in there, yeah.
You got some more?
Yeah.
Knuckle duster. I think no.
I'll stash them in the corner of the room like that, downstairs, upstairs or whatever. And if I hear someone coming through my front door, just run down, grab that, and go down with it.
So people having weapons in their houses have become the norm for you?
I've always seen it. I never seen it when I was at home, but like at mates' houses with shotguns and all that sort of stuff, hidden corners and people taking the law in their own hands. I think it's a very lack of faith in the place. It's just part of life.
Is it though?
For me, yeah.
Wow.
Say that one.
However they justify it though, he's part of a violent group who target heroin users. People already criminalised and stigmatised by their addiction. There are just under 300,000 heroin and crack cocaine users in England, and those aged 40 and above now make up the largest number of addicts. At a soup kitchen, I meet 47-year-old Darren. He tells me he'd been using heroin for 24 years and was recently assaulted.
I understand that you got attacked.
Yeah.
And what happened?
And what's happened, when I've been stood on the front of this pub, he's seen somebody come out to me, and then he's come running over.
Oh my goodness, so right in your lungs there?
Yeah, punctured my lung and my liver. I was in hospital 5 days. He knows that I probably won't report it.
Why though?
Because I'm using drugs. I don't want to, you know what I mean, be blowing him up because he's trying to attack me, you know what I mean?
Tell me a bit about the stigma over the years.
Weren't so much then because it was all hush, but as it's progressed and it's more and more on the scene now, last 10, 12, 15 years, it's horrible walking down the street and you get young kids saying, smackhead, you know, and it makes you feel like that, you know what I mean? I just keep my head up me and carry on walking. Not all people, what they call junkies, go out and drop the needles in the street. People have got consciences, you know what I mean? People will do things right. You know, once you see one person do it, they label everybody the same. The majority of people who take heroin are good people, you know. What it is, they get dragged down because they're taking drugs and they have to do stupid things to get their money. They don't really have a clue what's going on in my life. It's an hard life.
Pete, an ex-heroin user, knows too well the hardships of being an addict and recently set up a support group to help people reintegrate into society. He introduces me to Steve, who is currently in treatment for addiction.
Why do you think society has this view of heroin users?
I'll tell you why, because you take a few case studies, you know, a few of the darkest examples, and hold that up as a means to frighten people away from it. Drug addicts stigmatise other drug addicts. So I've come into contact with people who say, well, I'm addicted to cocaine, but I'm not addicted to heroin. Yeah. So it's like, even within addictions, heroin is right at the bottom. So the stigma runs right across society, even into the recovery community.
It's because society associate heroin with needles.
I mean, how tough is it? If you're in the state of addiction, are you responsible to pick up your needles? Or is there a bigger issue here?
A bigger issue, because that's a minority again. Most of the places what you'll see, and it's not right to have used needles near kids' parks and blah blah blah, but the majority of that will be, and I'm not stigmatising homeless people, but they haven't got a roof over their head to go and use their opiates.
Do you think that heroin users have reported crimes that have happened to them?
Heroin users, just by using the drug, it's a criminal act. Society doesn't listen to him anyway, so why would a police officer? In all my time being with an addiction, I've never seen anybody that's been had a crime committed against them go and report it.
So it's really no surprise that the anonymous group I met earlier remain unpunished.
So the lads I've met with are pretty extreme, it's obvious. They have very extreme views, I think a lot more than society, but I do think society holds a grudge against the heroin user. Now, the lads clearly have such issues, I think it's gone beyond that. They've created their own nightmares of what a heroin user is. Protecting their community, I think, is an excuse.
I returned to a party back at one of the group's house.
What's that?
I had a few beers, got angry, so I just threw my iPhone into the wall.
You've kept it in there?
Yeah, it looks quite nice as a feature.
Outside, two of them prepared to light a fire.
We'll get to show the needles that we got earlier. Fill that full of the solvent. that'll keep that set on fire, which will melt all the needles.
So is the fire and burning the needles almost like a ritual for you guys?
You could put it like that. Every other week we'll have a fire and collect them all up, burn them all, and then just have a few beers.
So how long will you carry on doing this?
So have a good life, nice clean area, no smackers about. And I'll keep doing that till I die.
So as odd as it may sound, I'm really pleased that I've met those guys because they've actually opened my eyes to wider society's prejudice against the heroin user. But I do think, although they are an extreme case, it does beg the question, if these crimes aren't being reported, how many other groups like this exist across the country?